Creative freedom, or push. Erich Fromm, the German psychologist, argued that the problem most modern people face is loneliness due to our separation, first from nature due to our ability to reason, and secondly, our separation from others due to modern disintegration of community, family, and groups. His antidote was love, not in the usual sense. This freedom is the capacity to encompass the world and reconnect with nature as well as other people through imaginative art. Creative artists do not seek conformity but rather choose loneliness in order to capture something deeper. So, creative freedom is an antidote to conformity, but artists are a minority in society. If we are subject to conformity, we can also suffer as a community. So, the question is, how do you heal an entire group? Ignacio Martin Baró, born in 1942 and died in 1989, was born in Spain but spent most of his life in Latin America. Through his research, he came to the conclusion that trauma was more a community issue rather than individual. For him, while mental problems could happen under normal circumstances, some other mental illnesses were the results of a harsh man-made environment, such as brutal oppression of some regimes. His solution was liberation psychology, in which his focus was on improving the lives of those marginalized in society. Many traumatic experiences among people, particularly in El Salvador, Argentina, Chile, and other Latin American countries he studied, were caused by dictatorship, wars, and violence in general. His conclusion was that psychological problems are often context-driven and reflects the history and politics of the place involved. While Martin Baró's antidote to social trauma was liberation and self-governance, another psychologist offered the choice to be part of a community as an antidote to loneliness and suffering, as it empowered us to take responsibility. William Glasser, born in 1925 and died in 2013, was an American psychologist. In 1956, he developed what is called choice theory, which is a kind of utilitarian approach in which individuals are driven by increasing their pleasure and avoiding pain. But the best way we can achieve these goals is within a social community. Since we are by nature social beings or a bunch of social animals, as Aristotle had said 2,500 years ago, therefore our natural or instinctive urge to belong to a community is as strong as our urge to find food or find partner. The only way we feel fulfilled is through society. While society allows us fulfillment, but on the flip side, most of our psychological problems are also caused by our relationships with others, including family, friends, colleagues, and society in general. Glasser offered what he called reality therapy, which is based on taking responsibility for the choices we make. This is very similar to existentialist philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre, as well as Soren Kierkegaard. In other words, we understand and accept the reality of our lives and take responsibility for our actions. But this can only be achieved if individuals are free to make choices. If we are forced to conform, one cannot have the options to make choices. While some societies allow us to make certain choices, it all varies from country to country or culture to culture. One of the deepest psychological unfreedom is what's called this process of normalization. Every society has certain norms, and anyone who deviates from those norms are either punished or ostracized as crazy. Elliot Aronson, born in 1932, in his 1972 book, The Social Animal, argued that we are all crazy in some way, and given the right time and place, we may act in a crazy way. Those who do crazy things are not necessarily crazy, he said. He looked at a shooting that happened in 1970 when armed officers shot dead some anti-war protesters. Aronson studied the reaction of the people in town who wanted to spread rumors that the protesters were bad people in order to prove that the officers did nothing wrong. Those false rumors were the results of cognitive dissonance, when two contradictory beliefs force you to change the narrative. We somehow justify some acts of cruelty simply to avoid the emotional conflict it causes us if we accept the truth. For example, the discomfort a family of a criminal feels when helping the police to capture the culprit.